It was February 16, 1959. A routine flight from Tampa, Florida to New Orleans was about to take a turn that no one on board or on the ground could have anticipated. National Airlines Flight 967, a Douglas DC-10, lifted off carrying 42 passengers and 5 crew members. Everything appeared normal at first. The flight climbed smoothly into the early morning sky, the pilots running through their checklists, the passengers settling in for what should have been a short, uneventful trip. But somewhere over the Gulf of Mexico, a catastrophe struck, and with it, one of aviation's most haunting mysteries. No distress call, no warning, just silence, and then a plane lost to the sea. For decades, investigators would comb through every shred of evidence, from fragments of the wreckage to cryptic radio transmissions. The official record would tell the story, but the FBI vault reveals details rarely discussed in public. Documents that hint at questions no one wanted answered. This is the story of Flight 967. The Douglas DC-7 was considered one of the most advanced airliners of its time. A long-range aircraft, sleek and fast, designed to make cross-country flights more efficient. National Airlines had prided itself on safety and service, building a reputation in the post-war era for reliability along the eastern seaboard and into the Gulf. The crew of Flight 967 were seasoned professionals. Captain Vernon B. McBride, a veteran of nearly 2 decades in aviation, had flown countless hours without incident. First Officer James Robinson was known among his colleagues for his meticulous attention to detail. The flight attendants, Miss Gloria W. and Miss Helen R., had both been with National Airlines for several years, trained in emergency procedures and customer care. Together, they represented the standard of professionalism passengers expected in 1959. Passengers, many of them business travelers, were unaware of a looming disaster. Among them were families traveling for work, a couple of couples visiting relatives, and at least one airline employee returning home. Flight 967 was a routine hop, a flight path thousands had taken without incident. Yet, the very routine of it made what happened next all the more shocking. As the DC-7 climbed into the early morning skies above the Gulf of Mexico, instruments and radio chatter indicated nothing out of the ordinary. There were no storms. There were no mechanical warnings. Just smooth air and the hum of powerful engines propelling the plane toward New Orleans. And then, somewhere over the water, the aircraft simply disappeared. No mayday, no debris sighted immediately, just a sudden, inexplicable vanishing. The FBI and Coast Guard were called in immediately, launching what would become a sprawling investigation. Reports and internal communications, many now part of the vault, show how federal authorities scrambled to find answers, but also how quickly the case became mired in uncertainty. What caused Flight 967 to vanish? Was it mechanical failure, human error, sabotage, or something else entirely? The documents in the vault suggest a number of possibilities, some more troubling than others. Within hours of Flight 967's disappearance, National Airlines reported the aircraft missing to the Civil Aeronautics Board and local authorities. The National Guard and the Navy immediately mobilized search and rescue efforts in the Gulf of Mexico. Aircraft and ships combed through thousands of square miles, but initial researches turned up almost nothing. No floating debris, no bodies, no oil slicks, nothing that could indicate what happened. The FBI quickly became involved due to the mysterious nature of the disappearance. Internal communications, now part of the vault, reveal a sense of urgency, frustration, and bewilderment. Agents questioned airline personnel, reviewed maintenance records, and scrutinized the backgrounds of both crew and passengers. Flight manifests were cross-checked, and every potential lead was examined. One particularly chilling line from a vault memo reads, "No distress call had been received. All radio communications prior to loss of contact indicate normal operations. Possibility of foul play cannot be excluded. Investigators considered a range of scenarios. Mechanical failure was a primary concern. The DC-7, though advanced, had known issues with fuel management systems and engine reliability under certain conditions. Sabotage was another possibility, especially given that some passengers were traveling for corporate business, but no threats had been reported. There was even speculation of severe weather interference, though meteorological reports indicated clear skies over the flight path. Witnesses in coastal towns along the Gulf reported seeing a high-flying aircraft at the approximate time of disappearance, but accounts were inconsistent, leaving investigators with no solid lead. Some reported hearing a loud bang, others nothing at all. These discrepancies were logged meticulously in FBI and Coast Guard reports now publicly available in the vault. Internal memos show the investigation expanded rapidly. Agents interviewed families, questioned airline staff, and coordinated with multiple federal agencies. Each day that passed without finding wreckage intensified the pressure. A sense of unease pervaded the reports. Flight 967 wasn't just missing. It had vanished under circumstances that seemed to defy explanation. By the end of the first week, theories were still swirling. Mechanical malfunction, pilot error, sabotage, even potential hijacking, all were under consideration. Yet, despite exhaustive efforts, the trail remained cold. The vault records show one memo expressing both determination and frustration. Search operations have been extensive and thorough. However, no definitive evidence has been located. Every possibility must be explored, including those not yet considered. From these early records, a pattern emerges. The disappearance of Flight 967 was as much of a test of investigative procedure as it was a mystery of aviation. Every action taken by the FBI, the Coast Guard, and the Civil Aeronautics Board reflects the tension of attempting to solve an enigma that the public and even seasoned investigators could barely comprehend. As search efforts stretched into the second week, investigators hoped for a breakthrough. Yet every lead seemed to collapse under scrutiny. Coast Guard patrols found occasional debris, mostly driftwood or flotsam, misidentified as aircraft parts, but nothing conclusively linked to Flight 967. Internal vault memos reveal the meticulous nature of the FBI's work. Agents reviewed maintenance logs for every DC-10 in the National Airlines Fleet, examined crew, training records, and cross-checked passenger lists for potential conflicts or unusual behavior. But nothing stood out. The flight path had been standard, the weather reported clear, and no distress calls had been made. The aircraft had simply vanished. One line from a February 11th memo reads, "Continued absence of physical evidence renders all speculation provisional. Every potential cause, mechanical failure, sabotage, hijacking, remains open." Investigators also revisited eyewitness accounts. Residents along the Gulf reported hearing unusual engine sounds, seeing lights or smoke. But these reports were inconsistent, often contradictory, and ultimately inconclusive. Some agents expressed frustration in internal communications, describing the challenge of separating credible sightings from noise, rumors, or misperception. Another layer of investigation focused on cargo and baggage. Flight 967 had carried standard freight, mostly unremarkable commercial goods, yet each crate, package, and passenger item was logged, tracked, and inspected to ensure nothing had been overlooked. Vault documents suggest a level of painstaking attention that, in hindsight, would become a hallmark of the FBI's approach to unexplained aviation incidents. The DC-7 itself had a reputation for reliability, yet previous flights had experienced rare fuel system malfunctions. Agents speculated whether an undetected issue could have compounded with navigational error or pilot misjudgment. Still, no definitive evidence ever surfaced. Months passed. Each new tip, lead, or theory required documentation, investigation, and verification. Memos note repeated frustrations, particularly with conflicting information from local witnesses, unconfirmed sightings, and missing or incomplete records. Ultimately, Flight 967 became what one memo described as a case defined by absence. The aircraft and its occupants are unaccounted for. While all investigative procedures have been observed, the matter remains unresolved. Vault records show that the FBI never closed the file officially. It was maintained as open pending further investigation. Investigators acknowledged the limits of human and technological capabilities at the time. Despite exhaustive searches, interviews, and cross-agency coordination, Flight 967's final location and circumstances remain unknown. The disappearance of National Airlines Flight 967 is now remembered less for conspiracy or scandal and more as a testament to the persistence, frustration, and dedication of those attempting to uncover the truth. It stands as a stark reminder of the challenges in aviation safety, federal coordination, and the unyielding mystery of an aircraft lost without a trace. In the months and years following Flight 967's disappearance, the investigation became as much about process as about closure. The FBI maintained the file meticulously, cross-referencing tips from private citizens, airlines, local law enforcement, and even amateur aviation enthusiasts. Every scrap of information, no matter how minor, was logged, verified, and analyzed. Internal reports highlight the frustration felt by agents tasked with a case that had no clear resolution. One memo reads, "The absence of tangible evidence creates a vacuum where speculation thrives. We remain committed to factual investigation, but the inability to locate the aircraft hinders definitive conclusions." The public, meanwhile, was left with unanswered questions. Families of the passenger and crew endured years of uncertainty, their grief compounded by the lack of tangible answers. Media coverage fluctuated, with initial headlines fading into obscurity as attention shifted to other events, leaving Flight 967 largely forgotten in public memory. Despite the absence of closure, the investigation influenced procedural changes in aviation safety and federal coordination. The meticulous documentation, communication, protocols, and cross-agency cooperation in Flight 967's case informed how subsequent missing aircraft investigations would be handled. The case highlighted the necessity of thorough record keeping, rapid response to reports, and the importance of maintaining open files, even when immediate answers are impossible. Theories about the flight disappearance have persisted over the decades, ranging from mechanical failures to sabotage, navigational errors, or even extreme weather phenomena. While none of these theories can be confirmed, the FBI's internal memos reveal that every possibility was seriously considered and systematically investigated. Flight 967's legacy, therefore, is dual. It is both a reminder of the mysteries that persist in aviation history and a testament to the dedication of federal investigators. The story serves as an example of how some questions may never be answered. Yet, the pursuit of truth, documented, methodical, and unwavering, remains crucial. In the end, the DC-7, its crew, and passengers may never be found. But the careful investigation into Flight 967 lives as a part of the FBI's historical record. It stands as a silent lesson on the limitations of technology, the challenges of human oversight, and the enduring mystery of an aircraft that vanished without a trace. The story of Flight 967 is not one of villainy or scandal. It's a story of mystery and of the unknown, and of lives lost without explanation. It reminds us that even in an age of advanced technology, some events remain beyond comprehension, leaving only questions and records behind. The DC-7 may never be found, but the investigation itself, its meticulous records, its unanswered questions, stands as a testament to human preservation in the face of uncertainty. As we close this file, remember, some mysteries may never be solved, but the pursuit of truth, the dedication to record, and the commitment to follow every lead, even decades later, is what keeps history honest. Next time on Stories from the Vault, we turn to a story that almost never happened, but could have changed the course of history entirely. Operation Northwoods, a plan that lived on paper, but never in reality. Until now. Until next time, I'm Kyle Fields. This is Stories from the Vault. Have a good day.